Good evening, everybody. I'm hoping that you can hear me. Try to wave if you can hear me. Awesome. All right. Welcome to the Regano Early Learning Center Information Night. We are excited to have you with us. I have tried to mute all of you, no disrespect, but it looks like some of you have found a way to unmute yourself. And so if you could mute, if you're not muted, that would be great, just until we get through the presentation tonight. So my name is Terry Brownlow. I am the preschool director here at the Regano ELC. I love my job every day. There are many familiar faces out there. I see that we have some parents of siblings that we either currently have or we have had, and some new faces. And I'm excited to introduce you to the preschool. Here with me tonight is Beth Poe, the school psychologist here at the preschool, who you will be hearing more from. Our preschool exists because the fact that we serve students with special needs. You are all here tonight to learn about your child being a peer model in the preschool. So with that, I am going to share my screen with you, and we are going to start the presentation. If I can make sure that I do this right. I've practiced it many times. Okay, so again, this is the just so make sure that everybody's in the right place, because there's a lot going on. If you think that you're at a high school orientation meeting, which I know is going on tonight, you're on the other end. This is the preschool, and then the kindergarten presentation is not until March of this year. So this is talking about, again, the peer model program here at the Regano ELC. So as we go through the presentation, if you have questions, if you could type them in the chat room, Beth is going to be monitoring those. And when we get to the end, we will try to answer any question that we have not answered in the presentation. And I would also say to you, please make sure that your questions at this point are global about the program. And because if you have specific questions about your child, that's something that you and I probably need to talk about via email or via a phone conversation. So the questions that you were to type in the chat, if we don't answer them tonight, really should be global questions about the program. So the Regano Early Learning Center is what we call an integrated preschool program. We provide high quality education to students who have disabilities and students who don't have disabilities, and we refer to those students who are peer models. And those of you that are with us tonight are interested in the peer model program. We serve about 90 to 95 kids a year of students who are either residents of Solon or are residents of Glen Willow.
So to talk about why a preschool program like this exists, I just am going to give you a tiny little bit of history that Public Law 99-457 was passed in this country really back in the original public law was passed in the 70s for kids between the ages of kindergarten through 12th grade to ensure equal access to education for children with identified disabilities. That particular law from the 70s went through a lot of revisions through the years, and by 1989, it included assurance that children between the ages of 3 and 5 or preschoolers would also be evaluated if there was a suspected disability and then provided with a special education for them. So that's why we are in existence, and preschool programs are like this are in existence across our country. Students are identified by a multidisciplinary team at the preschool And we look at all areas of development for every child that we evaluate. And our kids who do qualify can qualify for services under any area of disability or development. The majority of our children have communication delays, which is one reason we're looking for really good language models and our peer models. But we also have kids with other delays, like in motor areas or behavioral challenges, anxiety, sensory issues, and other handicapping conditions that are more intense, maybe autism or other cognitive delays and that type of thing. And then integrated preschool programs, which is what we are called. The majority of school districts have created this type of programming for kids, where we have the children with identified educational needs, and then also just the typically developing children in the classroom to be peer models. And that's what makes it called integrative. And what we strive to be is what's considered a least restrictive environment for kids. So all kids, regardless of whether they have a disability, they should be educated with their same age, typically developing peers. And so that's what we're striving for in our programs. And then peer models in general, what we know about children in terms of their learning is that they learn from other kids, they learn from their peers, and peer models provide that authentic interaction that we as adults can't really do with children ourselves. They really need to be with their same age peers, with their same kind of emotional level and play level, in order to really engage them in learning through play.
So one of the most important things that we want to present to you tonight is, what are the qualifications for being a peer model? The first is that you must live in Solon or Glen Willow. We do not take children outside of Solon or Glen Willow. Children must be 3 before August 1st of 2023, and they have to be toilet trained by the beginning of school. So your age deadline is August 1st, and then I believe the calendar for next year, I want to say the preschool starts like August 20th or something. So they really need to be potty trained by August 1st. And that's really important. We have had situations where kids have come and they're really not potty trained, and that does present an issue, because some of our kids who are facing their learning challenges may not be potty trained. And that's why it's important for peers to be potty trained, because we can't have all of these kids in diapers and so forth. The children need to be able to follow directions and comply with teacher requests. And again, at a level that's appropriate, go to the play table, go hang your coat up, or whatever it is. I mean, normally one-step directions, but they need to be able to understand and perform that request by teachers. Probably the most important, because so many of our students here who have learning challenges are communication issues. Our peer models must be able to speak English and understand English. So it's not that they're learning English or that they want to learn English. Unfortunately for our peer models, they are models, and they are modeling that communication component to our kids. And what we know that really helps our students who struggle with communication is if they are in an environment rich with communication, they gain the skills that they need to quicker and more efficiently. So again, that's a very important qualification for our peer models. They need to be age appropriate independence and be able to take initiative. And again, we understand they're 3 to 5. So, they need to be able to, as I said before, follow directions. They need to be able to be, like I said, toilet trained. So they're taking off their pants, they're pushing them back on. Clearly if they needed a little help here and there, that's something that we would provide for them. But age level independence is appropriate. Same thing with the help skills. We have snack here every day at preschool. So they need to be able to feed themselves. And again, our snacks are mostly finger foods, drink from a cup, be able to pick up a plate, throw it in the garbage can, all of those kinds of self-help skills. Ability to make transitions and demonstrate flexibility. Our kids, and we'll show the schedule to you later of our preschool day, but they do transition. They transition in the room from a circle activity to a play activity, but they also transition from their room to go to the gym or to go outside or to go to the art room. And they need to be able to do that with, independence. And I say that in that they're clearly being led by a teacher, but they can do that. Separate from a caregiver. First day of school is always hard. We understand that. We have tears. We do a lot of hugging and making sure that children feel safe, but they need to be able to recover in a quick amount of time. So that child that comes here and cries for 2.5 hours is not probably quite ready to be a peer model. So those are the qualifications for our peer models. The staff here at the ELC are wonderful, wonderful people, and beyond that, they are qualified people. Our classroom teachers, more than half of them have master's degree in early childhood special education. Each of our classrooms has at least one classroom assistant, and they are highly trained in early childhood education. At the preschool, because we serve students with disabilities, we have speech and language therapists, we have occupational therapists, and we have physical therapists. And all of these individuals are here to meet the needs of our students with IEPs or who have learning challenges, but they are also in our classrooms frequently. And so a child may be having a hard time cutting, our OT may be able to help with that. So they're extra help, they're extra eyes, and making sure that our students are developing as appropriately as they can. We also collaborate with the Cuyahoga County Board of Health of Developmental Disabilities to provide assistive technology and augmented communication device for our students. So some of our students here are nonverbal, and they do use what we call AAC devices. And so they use basically computers oftentimes to communicate with. Our typical peers need to be able to, I don't want to say understand that, but kind of work with that and not necessarily be afraid of that. So the preschool program is aligned to the Preschool Ohio's early learning standards. Those standards are in the areas of social and emotional, social development, physical well-being, approaches towards learning, language and literacy, and cognition and general knowledge. And that cognition and general knowledge is where the math, science, and social studies standards fall. Our program is language-based, thematic. We have units. We tie everything to relate to a child between the ages of 3 and 5. We use fairy tales, holidays, family culture, nighttime, and everything is connected for them into the world that they live in. Socially, emotionally, we are trying to create friendships, helping them to understand about respecting each other, about regulating their own emotional and behavioral reactions. Those of you that may have older students, we work with the zones of regulation here at the preschool as well to make sure that our students are learning how to calm themselves, how to regulate themselves. You know, not every day is going the way they want, and finding ways to work through that and strategies to work through that. Pre-academic skills, we are learning letters, upper, lowercase letters. We are learning to count. We are learning to write. We are learning fine motor development and gross motor development. Our kids get at least a half an hour, 25 to 30 minutes in the gym every day, where we are working on those movement activities. In many of our classes, we have what's called music and movement. So the teachers will be playing music or showing a video, and we're working on those, jumping, skipping, hopping, being able to stand on one leg, balance, and so forth. So this is all part of the preschool program.
So again, all of our classrooms are what we call integrated preschool classrooms, and we have peer models and the students with disabilities in each class. We do our best to keep our class sizes at 14 maximum. We don't often go up to that number. We can go up to 16 if we needed to, but we try to limit it to 14. And we want to have more peer models in the classroom than we have kids with special needs. So often we might have 6 children with special needs and 7 or more, 7 or 8 kids that are typically developing. Our classes, each one of our classes are multi-age. So we have 3 to 5-year-olds in both the morning and afternoon classes, but the teachers are very intentional about differentiating instruction based on the curricular goals for each age level. So we're not expecting our 3-year-olds to have the same or to gain the same skills that our 5-year-olds are going to gain within the school year. So you might go into a classroom and see one of the teachers working with the 3-year-olds on just, I don't know, working on identifying a letter, whereas the 5-year-olds maybe actually learning how to do letter formation and writing more letters or writing the name, that type of thing. So each activity they really look to try to differentiate from a developmental standpoint. Plus the peer models also will have, you have parent conferences in the fall, and at that time you will have a couple developmental goals for your child developed at that time, which is something that the teacher will monitor throughout the school year. And then, as Terry had mentioned, we have at least 1 teacher and 1 assistant in the classroom, but you always have a lot of us in there all the time. And then the next slide just shows what a typical preschool schedule is. And we just wanted to illustrate that we are very much like a typical preschool program. The children with special needs get supplemental services that they need, but they're being exposed to a very typical preschool experience. So we pack a lot. It's only 2.5 hours, which doesn't seem very long, but we pack a lot of learning and play and fun into that time. So this is just a typical example of what might happen for your child. And then we spend a lot of time making sure that our kids are ready to move on to kindergarten with the skills that they need. So the teachers through the years, we have collaborated very closely with kindergarten teachers. We're very conscious of the learning standards that are moving up into elementary school, and we want to make sure that our kids are well prepared to go into that next level of education. We do a lot of, this time of year, we're starting to gear up towards doing lots of transition between here and the 3 receiving elementary schools, so that both our children that are peer models as well as the kids with disabilities are we transition to those kindergarten teachers with knowledge about what they have been exposed to in preschool and are able to do moving forward.
So if you have an older student in the district, this is a phrase that you may have heard, and if you haven't, you will. Kind of the motto of the Solon schools is what I would say is every kid every day, but every student every day. And the preschool program is really the beginning of that. When we went to a 3 to 5 multi-age program, it was very important that we met the needs of every student. And I would say to you that it's not even about 3 and 5. We have 3-year-olds who can write their name. We have 5-year-olds who can't. And so the idea is that we meet our students where they are, and we grow them and progress them every day individually. And ultimately, when they leave here, they are ready to master or begin the kindergarten, not master, but to begin the kindergarten curriculum. And if there are areas of weakness or challenges that they are facing because of the communication that we have between the preschool and the elementary schools, we are making sure that they are prepared to help your child grow at the kindergarten level as well.
So a lot of people might ask, why would I have my child go to a program like this and not just go to a community-based preschool program? So just some of the benefits of being at Regano are that obviously you have all moved to this district because you know this is a really premier district in our state. All of our classroom staff have ongoing training in early childhood programming. So we are governed by a licensing board, and one of the requirements is that we have at least, every staff member has at least 10 hours of training a year. So we're always looking for training. And then of course we have training in all the safety, CPR, first aid, that again is a must as well. We, as I explained before, differentiate instruction for all learners, and we're really aiming to get your child ready for kindergarten and beyond in Solon. We have all our related services who spend a great deal of time in the classrooms and interact with all the children. So even the peer models benefit from incidental instruction and in those disciplines. Again, we strive to keep that low student to teacher ratio, and we do supplement our programming with field trips and other extra activities. So one of the things that we typically always do are seasonal field trips to Lookabout Lodge at one of our metro parks, and then we try to have in-house field trips as well.
So we were lucky enough 4 years ago to move into our current building, which is the Regano Early Learning Center. Prior to that, we were at Arthur Road. At one point in time when Arthur Road was an elementary building, the preschool was part of that, and now we are a standalone building. And this is a wonderful, wonderful building. If you haven't been in the preschool, and once you make the decision that you want your child to come here or to be screened, you'll be able to see the building. It's has lots of natural light. It's colorful. Everyone that we have that comes in here that visits us is always very amazed about how the building looks, and just kind of how, again, bright. It's a bright building. So the different rooms here at the preschool, this first one is what we call our block room. And what we have in here is lots of blocks. It's a construction zone. The kids go in there. Again, this is one of the transitions they may have during their day, as they go in here, and there are just different toys, or there's lots of blocks for construction and building. And to work on some of those fine motor skills that we are working on here. The second room is our sensory room. You can see in the back is the ball pit. We have a swing. All of our, at one point in time, all of our kids were visiting the sensory room, and we've kind of had to revamp just because of the growth that we've had, but it is a room that teachers can go in and use when it's not being used for therapy for some of our other students. This next picture is just a typical classroom. So our classrooms are set up in centers, different play centers. Most of them have some kind of, if you can see over in the right-hand corner, a circle where we do books, where we do our calendar, we do weather every day, and the kids gather and they may do some finger plays or whatever. And then the rest of the room is set up in what we call centers, where they can choose to go and play. This next picture is what is our open area, our game room. One of the things that we did lose when we left Arthur Road was outside green space and a large gym. So this open area, the teachers will oftentimes, because we share gym time, when one class is in the gym, they may come out here and do games or do obstacle courses. Again, working on some of those fine and gross motor skills. We also have an art room. So this is, again, just a picture of the art room where the kids may go and do some special art projects. Not always is art done in the art room, but it does give the teacher the availability of perhaps splitting her class and taking assistant may take some of the kids into the art room to work on an art project, while the teacher has some of the kids still working in the classroom on other skills. We do have a gym, and in our gym, we have trikes, and we have scooters, and we have the little coupe cars. We have little basketballs. We have little trampolines. We have the little roller coaster. So again, 30 minutes of their day, 25 to 30 minutes of their day is spent in the gym. Teachers also, generally speaking, this is a free time for them to kind of exercise and use those large muscles. But at other times, teachers may organize games where we have lots of balls and obstacle courses and so forth. So we are very lucky in that we have some extra space to have this art room in the construction zone and so forth.
And here we just wanted to re-emphasize the qualifications for being a peer model after we've gone through the discussion of our program. Again, we have presented this earlier. We just want to, again, really emphasize the need for good language skills and the ability to speak and understand English. And I do just want to point out that every year we do have a handful of kids that we turn down because we're not hearing English when we do the peer model screening. That being said, that's not because they may not be a good peer, like playmate peer model, but if they're not speaking English, this is not a great place for them to learn English, because the majority of children that are in our classes for purposes of getting special education are here because they have communication delays. And so all children learn from each other. And if you're placing a child in who doesn't know English and hoping that they learn English in this setting, you're giving them a lot of models who are not good English speakers. So just keep that in mind. But that is something that we will be looking at when we do the play-based screening with the children.
So some of the questions that we get after tonight's presentation are throughout the year. One has to do with transportation. We do not provide transportation to our peer models. Our IEP students, due to state law, we do bus them if parents request it. But as a peer model, as a parent, you are expected, if you are chosen, to get your kid here, your child here, and to pick up your child. We do a valet line. The parents drive around. We come out to the cars. We get the child out of the car. And then at the end of the day, we take them back out. So it really is a pretty smooth process. And I feel like every year, right before we're ready to start the year, a parent says, well, aren't you going to transport them? And just want to reemphasize, we do not transport peer models. The other thing that we're asked a lot, because again, some of the community daycares have these programs, we are a 2.5-hour program. Our program is from 8 to 10:30 and from 12 to 2:30. We do not have extended care. We do have 1 or 2 classrooms that are all day for our students with significant needs, but as a peer model, we do not have any availability for any kind of extended time. The question, because we have an AM program and a PM program, once we do the screening and once we offer your child a spot, we will ask you what your preference is to attend either from 8 to 10:30 or 12 to 2:30. And we do our very best to honor that. But again, we have to balance our classes in relationship to peer models and to students on IEPs. And so sometimes we may say to you, the only spot that we have available is PM. And if that doesn't work for you, we completely understand. But the balancing of class placement is something we take seriously. And as I said, we will do the best we can to honor your request, but it's not always going to be able to happen. Just the cost of the program for peer models is $1,200 a year. What happens is once you are offered a peer model spot, you will be asked to send in a $100 check to hold your spot. And then in August is the first tuition payment of $550. And then the second tuition payment is in December. So where do we go from here? So our peer model screening is on February 10th. It will be between 10:15 and 2 o'clock. And what will happen after tonight, if you signed up, that's how you got this link, I will send an email out to everybody who signed out asking if after you've heard this information and you believe your child is qualified based on the qualifications that we reviewed tonight, to fill out a form that you are interested in having your child screened. That screening, as I said, will happen on February 10th. It's a 20 to 25 minute specified play session. We bring the kids in groups of 4 or 5 in our rooms. We have all our toys out. We're just, 1, checking communication, 2, checking their ability to transition or separate from whoever brings them in. And then again, making sure they can follow some simple directions and so forth. So that's the 20-25 minute screening. When you come that day, and again, you'll get reminders of this, but we need you to bring a picture of your child. It can be any picture. It's just that we oftentimes screen anywhere between 40 and 50 students. And so we just like to have a picture on their folder that as we're talking about them and going through who has met the qualifications of a peer model, a picture kind of helps ring a bell for us. While you are here for the peer screening, you will be asked to complete a questionnaire about your child. That's just kind of general information that helps us to do placement and do a variety of things. So this email will go out, I'm going to say tomorrow, maybe, but if you have not received an email from me about your interest in peer screening by next Tuesday, you should either call the preschool or email. I know there were people who indicated they did not receive the link to tonight's meeting. We had to send it separately. So I'm using the emails that you used to sign up for tonight. So like I said, that email will go out either tomorrow or Monday, but for sure by Tuesday afternoon, if you are interested in peer model screening and you have not received an email from me, you can email me, you can call the preschool, and we will make sure that you get that information. So the selection process, so we will do the screening, the teachers. In that screening, there will be 2 preschool staff members interacting with the children. After that meeting, we all meet, and again, we have a form that we're going through and checking off the qualifications that we saw or didn't see. And we basically select the peer models from that screening. Right now, we have between 25 and 30 spots available for next year. I believe that we had almost 75 to 80 people sign up for tonight. Clearly not everybody is going to be interested in the screening based on qualifications, age, whatever it may be. But most of the time we end up having more people wanting to be screened and more students than we need. And if that's the case, we will go through and select the top peer models, so to say, and other children will be placed on a wait list. Sometimes we will send a letter saying that at this point in time, your child does not meet the qualifications. And we always encourage you to, if you do not receive a peer model spot, to enroll at a community preschool. We believe that it's clearly good for our students to be involved with their peers at any preschool. Again, when that letter is sent, you will be asked to pay a $100 non-refundable deposit to hold your spot. And then, as I said, the tuition is $1,200 after that. So again, if you have questions about the program, again, not about your individual child, if you can type those in the chat room, and when we're ending this, we will try and go back and answer those for you. I do want to make sure there were a couple of things as people who registered. I had several parents who registered children who did not meet the I will be 3 by August 1st. We do not screen children who are not 3 by August 1st. What I have said to people who have inquired is that if your child is close, let's say they have an August 15th birthday, is that to contact the preschool in early August. And if we have not filled all of our peer model spots, we will create a wait list of children who did not meet the August 1st deadline, and possibly screen again if we end up having a need. The flip side to that is we had some parents who are looking for preschool for a child who may be kindergarten eligible. So if your child turns 5 before September 30th of this year, they are age eligible for kindergarten. Now, I also know that there are many parents whose children have June, July birthdays who are not ready to send their children to preschool. But if your child turned 5 in October or November of 2022, they really should be looking at kindergarten registration. And that meeting is March 1st. And for more information about that, you can again go to the website. So at this point, we will entertain any of the questions that we had.
And I don't see any questions in the chat room, so.
We can wait a couple minutes if there are questions that you want to type in there, or no questions mean we did such a great job tonight that there are no questions, which, you know, just makes us feel really good because we've practiced this like 4 or 5 times. And again, if along the way you do have questions, do not hesitate. I will tell you the best way to get an answer back from me quickly is to email me. There are a couple of names and faces on here who I've been emailing with the last couple of days, and email is something that I can do if I'm in a classroom, if I'm in a meeting. Don't tell anybody that I'm emailing in a meeting. But it really is. Phone calls can be just a little bit slower, so don't hesitate to email me. Again, I don't know if I said this or not, but so I will send out the email for your interest in peer screening. I believe the deadline for that I put on there was January 30th, because once I get that, I will then be emailing again give you information to sign up for time slots for the peer screening. So I do see some questions in here. You have to be a resident of Solon or Glen Willow to be able to attend. That was one of the questions. Preschool is Monday through Thursday. So our program is 8 to 10:30 or 12 to 2:30 Monday through Thursday. We do not have classes on Friday. That's actually something good that I probably should put in here. The February 10th screening will be, our first session will start around 10:15 and the last session will be about 2 o'clock. And again, you will be given the opportunity once you express that you're interested to sign up for a slot. But again, they are limited because we are only doing 4 or 5 kids. We have 3 different sessions or 3 different groups every like 30 minutes. So once you decide you want to be screened and you get the email and you have a tight time flag, you're going to want to get in there and sign up for the screening. Question is, what is the email address? I'm not sure exactly my email address. So here at the preschool, it's our name at solonboe.org. So mine is Terry Brownlow at solonboe.org. The number here at the preschool is 440-349-6210. That will take you to my secretary, who probably can answer more questions than I can.
I have a question that popped up about the times again. The morning classes are 8 to 10:30, and afternoon is noon to 2:30.
Question about kindergarten. My child turns 5 after 9:30. So you're to go to kindergarten, your child must turn 5 by September 30th. School does follow the district calendar. Again, the only difference is we do not have classes on Friday, but we have the same winter break, we have the same spring break, we have the same days off throughout the year. So we do follow the school calendar. Currently, there is only one day for screening. If February 10th is going to be a problem for you, I would suggest that you email me. And if we have been able to work around some things with screening, we clearly realize that one day out of 365 to make yourself available can be a little tough sometimes. So if you do have an issue with a February 10th date, email me. All right, that looks like that's all the questions that we have. So again, I appreciate you attending tonight. And if you have any questions, like I said, email is the best way to reach me to get the quickest answer. And I look forward to seeing many of you at our peer model screening on February 10th. Have a great night. Thanks for coming.